Once a time Rathma continent fear is on the rise as the demon army has arrived here. The demon army is considered horrible, and intense darkness envelops it, which is enough to shock the soldiers of the defense forces, but there's something scarier than all of that, and that's the great Demon King, the chance of long life. The Demon King by the demon army can be heard everywhere. The Demon Emperor dominates the war, and the other lumps of flesh are not even worth mentioning. Luzu. More, the Demon King has incredible features. His eyes are ruby red and his soul is the darkest of all. Hang on. There's another soul transmigrated into the body of the Demon King. When the boy turned on his computer and wanted to try wearing D-glasses, he was caught in here. He looks at his reflection and realizes that he is stuck in the body of the biggest villain in the game, Luzumora. The game is named as One Demon King Prisoner, where players will role-play as the Demon King and destroy the Rathma continent and win over various women to unlock beautiful computer graphics. The alluring women in the game are the Holy Maiden, Dwarven Princess, and Dark Elf. At first the game sold out at an astonishing rate of production, but that reputation soon crumbled because in the final stage of the game, heroes from the guild appeared out of nowhere and formed a party to fight against the Demon King. There are many traitors in the demon army, and even the other characters suddenly become goddesses and destroy the Demon King's castle. In short, there is only one ending for the Demon King, which is death, and then the game is over. The demon fears that his plans are going wrong and he's finally going to die. He starts to think carefully as the game has just begun, and this is the initial part of the plot, so things are still within his reach. He has to improve his character, as the secret of life is to not act too much. Meanwhile, a subordinate demon calls out to Lord Luzu and informs him that he needs to go to the entrance hall immediately as their army has captured an important one. The Demon King thinks that the game is fast-paced. Simultaneously, he is also confused by the directions in the castle. He wants to get to the entrance hall but ends up going in the direction of the back kitchen in the castle prison. The Holy Maiden is unconscious despite of her being tied up firmly. She is not ready to give up. At the church, the Holy Maiden and the nuns are praying for their mission to be successful. They never thought that the golden jewel of the church, the Virgin Light, was at risk. The nuns prayed for her to be blessed in the name of the Holy Lord. The faithful Polly, the name of the Holy Virgin, pretends to be captured to infiltrate the Demon King's army, and she's determined to get back the stolen golden staff of Eugene. It won't matter how much the devil plays with her body. The faithful Polly will not give up. She is ready to face the demons without any hesitation. Lord Freeman admires her courage and tells her that she's worthy of the title of the golden jewel of the church. She sums up by saying that even in the dungeon the Holy Maiden shines so bright. The Dark Elf greets her, and the Holy Maiden has an instant hatred for her, describing her as obscenely evil. The Holy Maiden declares that the Dark Elf can do whatever she wants, but she won't give in to these evil people. Lord Frame tells the Holy Maiden that she really likes the way she talks, and she also hopes that the Holy Maiden will be as convincing as she is now. The Dark Elf informs the Holy Maiden that she has to congratulate herself, as it's not the Dark Elf that she's about to succumb to, but the real master of this army, the Demon King. The great Demon King is in the next room, and Lord Frame greets him with the utmost respect. The Holy Maiden is surprised to know that the Demon King is behind the door. Polly imagines that the Demon King will be more dangerous and ugly than the other common demons. She reassures herself that even if the demon is enormous, she won't be afraid. They enter the door, and the Dark Elf informs her Lord Lucius that Saint Polly is here. Polly takes a brief glance at the Demon King and is immediately taken aback. She knew that the terrible Demon King is known as the White Beast, and currently he is so different from the description she had seen in the book. She didn't know he had such a distinct temperament, but he was very handsome. Polly wonders what on earth is she thinking about. She brushes off the idea, saying this must definitely be an illusion, and tries to sober up herself. The Demon King looks at her and demands confirmation as to whether she's the real Saint Polly who is known as the Golden Jewel. He thinks to himself that this is so offensive. The real one is a drop in the bucket compared to the masterpiece of the game. He instantly stops his train of thoughts as he knows that this saint is not an innocent little bunny, as the most easily corrupted female character in the early stages of the game. Once she reaches a certain level of evil or dies, the most common thing to do will be to become a six-winged angel and raise the devil may cry to the ground. Lord Lucius reminds himself to stay calm, but Polly wants him to stop pretending and display his true nature. She wants to confirm if it is the pink potion that is making her body weird or the magic tattoo on her groin that is hypnotizing her. The Demon King asks her to calm down, as they don't have anything that she's referring to. Lord Frame is ready to develop these kinds of mind-controlling drugs, and she offers to develop some mind-controlling spells too. Lord Lucius dismisses her as he feels it's not important. Polly is again driven into her naughty thoughts about the Demon King, but tries to control herself. The dark elf gets furious when Polly dares to make a fuss in front of the Emperor and pulls out her whip. She is about to hit Polly, but the Emperor holds up the whip and asks for him to stop it. He knew at that very moment that he did wrong. He had taken the wrong side as he defended the enemy. Frame feels anxious about losing her patience and thinks that Lucius will now hate her. Both of them scream in frustration. The dark elf wonders if something's wrong with the Emperor. The Demon King, to cover his mistake, starts thinking of another way to punish Saint Polly. He then decides to send her to her room as he has his own plans regarding her punishment. Both Freem and Polly are astonished upon hearing this. Polly has strange thoughts as she thinks that he is really going after her. Saint Polly is brought to the Devil's Castle bathhouse and she's completely under the delusion that the Demon King is really going to do something to her. Lord Freem reminds her that she is just a lowly human point, and even if someone is needed to serve Lord Lucius in bed, then it would only be free. No one's sure about the Demon King's plan. Polly was given a special bath before being brought back to the room and she overthinks it, but she doesn't mind it as she knows she has to bear it anyway, even if there's hell ahead. Once she's done with her bath, she enters the room. Polly's eyes shine as they reflect the beautiful chandelier in the room. There's a king-sized bed and it's surrounded by a prestigious carpet. She feels that the room is too luxurious and it's too sinful. Polly thinks that the Demon King is trying to lure her with this room, and she thinks he's too childish. She vowed never to be tempted by such a low level, but looking at the bed she wasn't able to resist and directly jumped over the bed. The bed is big and comfortable and she hasn't slept in such a great bed since she was a kid. Polly thinks deeply that the devil is not the same as the one in the legend, and he doesn't seem to be like a bad guy at all. The very next second she can't agree with herself. There's no way that she can be blinded by these luxurious. They must be the devil who has cast a psychic spell on it. It begins with the temptation and ends with her becoming a plaything or a meal for the Demon King. Polly prays to God as her thoughts are no longer clean. She can't get caught up as she has a mission to accomplish. However, it would do no harm to lie down for a while on this comfortable damn bed. The next morning Polly wakes up and feels like a sinner for being corrupted by the soft bed. Frame enters the room and taunts her for being happy with the room. She gives Polly a new set of clothes and tells her that Lord Lucius has ordered her to serve him. Polly looks keenly at the clothes and discovers that it's a maid's outfit. She imagines that the Demon King wants to humiliate and torture her, and she is made to do all the dirty work. Polly was truly underestimated. A maid outfit for her is no shame at all. Cleaning is in fact the most basic quality of being a saint. Frame wonders if the Lord has changed a bit recently. He has prevented freedom from interrogating and torturing the prisoners, giving her such a nice room, and now the so-called punishment is just to change into a maid's uniform. Polly is shocked after putting on the outfit. It's cheap and exposing, and it's really shameful. Freem understands that the punishment is now working as it is breaking the saint's mental defenses. Free asks Polly how she feels and tells her that this is their way of corrupting her without torturing her or inflicting any harm on her. Holly learns that the Demon King is indeed worthy of the given title. In the Devil's Castle front hall, the Demon King has planned things well by placing Polly as a maid, which is the only way to keep her safe in the Demon City without worrying about food and clothing. As soon as Polly comes to the front hall, she hears a demonic laugh. Lord Lucius asks her to pour him a cup of tea. Polly seeks his attention and tells him to stop playing with her. The Demon King glances at Polly and is amazed by the way she looks. Polly gets straight down to business and asks him what exactly he wants her to do, and whatever it is they should begin with it. Polly approaches the Demon King and asks him to initiate that sort of thing. Bradley the Fly barged into the room. He is shocked to see how intimate the Lord is being with a saint. He immediately apologizes and runs out, but the Lord stops him right there. Polly is offended as it's despicable to ask others to watch them. Lord Lucius asks her to shut up for a while and wonders what's going on in her head. Next, Freem enters the room to inform the Lord that the latest version of the strategic map has been completed. Then the tactical meeting officially begins. Secretary Bradley briefs the Lord about the recent happenings, saying that the 4th Corps has torn through the southwestern defenses. The 5th Crops are steadily following, and the 6th Crops have had a lot of trouble on the northwest front. He adds up some more information about how the Allied forces at Jinshan have caused great problems. Polly can't believe that she's hearing all of these military secrets and worries about the reason behind them. The game progresses by developing troops to choose which fortress or city to attack, and the information is exactly the same as in the game. He already knows the next move, and Freem shows him where to focus. She tells him that they are just waiting
Freem not to bother about the whole troop vacancy pass. Instead, he chooses Secretary Bradley as the vanguard for this operation. Lord Lucius proposes another plan to directly attack the falling fortress. Both Freem and Bradley are stunned. Bradley argues about the power of the 9th Legion fly demons, which are not fully hatched, and tells him that it would be better if they followed Lord Freem's plan. Lord Lucius is here just to mess up the game. The faster the game progresses, the closer the king's death will be and the game will end. Lord Lucius knows that Bradley was secretly loyal to the Lord of Flies, and it's better to end him soon. To avoid suspicion, Lucius tells them that the so-called defense is just a blindfold and that they really want to mobilize the garrison of the fortress. They realize it's an empty city. Freem asks for forgiveness and wonders about the intense punishment in a crazy way. Lord Lucius declares that they are ready to eat up the empty city and asks Bradley to attack the fortress on the 100th day. They have to attack the city during daylight to catch the enemies off guard. Bradley fears the Lord's decision, and Freem reassures him about the attack being well planned. Bradley looks around and finds St. Polly panicking. He uses her as a bait, but then he comprehends the situation by thinking that if the Lord can make a saint so humble and submissive in just a few days, his plan of attacking the fortress will definitely work. Bradley immediately accepts the Lord's proposal and goes away to make the arrangements. Under the skin of Lord Lucius, the boy can easily fool around and make up fake things. Polly wonders, how on earth did the Demon King know that the fortress is an empty city, and who had leaked the news out? St. Polly demands to know if there is any other high-ranking figure from the Union Army in the Order who has been captured by the demons. Lord Lucius politely answers her, assuring her that so far, she's the only one captured. Polly doubts herself, thinking that it could have been her who let all the secrets out. Maybe yesterday she wasn't in her room, but instead she could have been hypnotized by the Demon King and interrogated for information. Polly bends down to ask for forgiveness, and the Demon King gets a good view of her behind, which is so vicious. He reminds himself that lust is emptiness. Polly tells him that it's not that easy to conquer the unfallen fortress. She brags about its super defense system, which has been operating for 1,000 years. Lord Lucius tells her that it is great to know, but as he can recall, the fortress has undergone several changes over the past 2,000 years between humans and dwarves. Polly explains that trading is important, but it is yet impossible to break through from the outside. He tells her that he knows very well that it is easy to defend, impossible to attack, an absolute fortress, an invincible fortress. The Demon King tells Polly about his plans with the flies. Polly notices that the Lord is a pervert. The more he talks, the more excited he gets. She tells the Lord that the dwarves were always loyal allies of the humans, and so his attack will surely fail. Lord Lucius presses her onto the table and tells her that the human alchemy and the dwarven explosives created the great alchemical cannon. A single shot can wipe out dozens of miles, and so it's hard to escape when the dragonfly rides her face. Polly wonders how he is so confident about winning, and she has let out so many secrets too. The Demon King laughs, but gets excited and chokes. At the Demon King's army frontline camp, Bradley informs Minotaur Minon that Lord Lucius has different plans and that he has been ordered to lead a direct attack on the fortress in 3 days. Minotaur Minon complains about the humans deceiving them by using the empty city, and he agrees with the Lord's operation. Bradley explains that he has no idea to what extent the Lord's plan can lead them. Mino tells him that the Minotaurs don't like using their brains, so he has no plans of his own. One general of mankind had proposed a plan, but the Emperor said that his bullshit plan was useless, and so Mino was going to chop him up. Bradley asks him to stop, as there are a few things he would like to hear from him. He clearly doubts the Lord's plan, and he guesses that Lord Lucius is trying to kill someone or destroy him completely. In the rustle of the night, the human traitor Lytis shivers, and she's thankful to God as it was the brain-dead ox-headed demon who had captured her. He's agreeable. She had proposed a plan and was waiting for the demon army to strongly consider her true value. She has no doubts that she'll soon become someone big. Bradley sets foot in the room and tells her to control her nasty ideas. She is going to be at his disposal, and the plan she proposes has been overruled. Bradley informs her that he is going to launch a frontal attack against the invincible fort in 3 days. Lytis finds it difficult to accept the plan, but Bradley tells her to shut her trap. He wants to only hear about how to make it possible to attack the city, and if she's not up to the task, he'll slash her head off and add it to his collection. Lytis wonders how she ended up getting transferred to this rascal, and she doubts that the Demon Lord is planning to get him eliminated. Being with Bradley, Lytis would be digging her own grave, so she needs to think about what was all about the given 3 days. It suddenly strikes her, and she now agrees that the Lord's plan is glorious and overwhelming. She tries to find spiritual and intellectual synchrony with the Demon Lord, which makes her honor him. Lytis tells Bradley that she has grasped the Lord's intentions and tells him to feel free to attack the invincible city. Outside the invincible fortress, Lord Bradley is informed that there is no sign of magic surrounding the fortress and that this large-scale massive fog arose naturally. Bradley wonders how the fog showed up so unexpectedly. Lytis explains that this fog had to be among the Demon Lord's early considerations. The invincible fortress isn't too far away from the sea, thus it not only gets cold easily but the condensation gives rise to fog. Even nature couldn't provide better cover. Lytis also tells him that the people here are preoccupied today, which amasses perfect conditions for the ultimate strategy. It's the Dwarven Festival of Wine on this very day. Those who yearn for the bottle will be dead drunk today, and all the invincible fort's defenses are pretty much done for. Bradley thinks deeply about what Lidis just said. Meanwhile, inside the invincible fortress, people are enjoying themselves and drinking like there's no tomorrow. Dwarf Princess Priscilla is drunk and lying on the floor. She rolls over and demands more wine. She is mercilessly splashed with cold water, and she screams out and asks, "What's going on?" She also warns the person and yells out, "Who is the person who carries a death wish and dared to drench the princess in cold water?" The person in front yells at her too. He tells her that she's finally sober and demands an answer for her being drunk recklessly. It turns out that this person is the Grand Marshal. He accounts for Priscilla's drinking habits, but she gives him an excuse about the Bacchus Fest being the most important dwarven holiday. Priscilla replaced water with wine so that all of them could drink to their heart's content. The Marshal tells her that she's reckless and the folks are going to die drinking so much alcohol. Priscilla is confident enough and asks him to quit looking down on them. She is intoxicated and swings from here to there, falling straight to the ground. The Marshal urges her to hurry up and sober her men to protect the fortress so that the enemy can't take any chances to attack the fortress in this fog. Princess Priscilla tells the Marshal that he's too sensitive, and that drinking more wine will only make the dwarves more heroic. After a few more rounds, Priscilla herself could flatten the Demon Lord's hometown tomorrow. Abruptly, Bradley gets into the insides of the fortress and launches hostile fire. The Marshal is captured, and when Priscilla tries to escape, she's caught too. At the Demon Castle, Lord Lucius is enjoying his life, wondering that this world also has coffee and that it tastes rather fine. Now he wants to taste some sweets too. Polly is busy wondering, as this is obviously the day of the attack on the invincible fort, how the Demon King is not worried, and he is munching on sweets. He is even eating cake in front of her. Maybe the Demon King views the Razma Plains as no different from a cake. She feels that he is trying to show her that everything is well planned and under his control. The cake is topped with strawberries, so the Demon King implies those strawberries are the invincible fortress. The Demon King notices Polly eyeing the cake and offers for her to eat with him. Polly looks at him suspiciously and asks him, what is she trying to pull? She inquires whether he has put any knockout powder in the cake or a potion that drives people mad. The Lord is irritated but refuses her accusations politely. She tells him that it's not that easy to win her over with a slice of cake, and the next moment, Polly attacks the cake. There's no harm in eating, as the food is an enemy ration anyway, so this could depict that she is playing with him. Polly is instantly in love with the flavor, the silky and cloudy cream texture, and the fresh and juicy strawberry pulp. Both the supreme flavor and the faint acid work together to give her tongue a tingle. Polly is addicted to the cake. The Demon King notices that when Polly is not honest, her body will speak for her. Nothing actually matters to him. Polly asks him directly about the invincible fortress situation. The Demon King shows up with a careless attitude and doesn't consider it worthy of his concern. Polly seems more concerned for his demons than the Demon King himself. He asks her if she thinks that the Ninth Army can't face the fort's defenses head-on and still claim victory. He explains to her that the forged artillery in the fortress is only there to look pretty. He tells her to hold her horses and don't get anxious, as this day will certainly bring rousing news to both of them. The Dark Elf greets the Demon King, panting heavily. She is here to brief him on the battlefront report. She is thrilled to tell him that it all went as he expected and that the invincible fortress is an actual empty fort. A thick fog broke out on the battlefield today, flawlessly masking Bradley's raid operation and adding to the fact that all dwarves were blind drunk from the Bacchus Fest, and he has a demon army with virtually no obstacles. She sums up by saying that through the Lord's brilliant command and leadership, their army seized the invincible fortress in less than a full day. The Demon Lord is still silent, leaving Freem to admire his glorious bearing. She thinks that he's unfazed upon hearing a unique war victory like this, and she had expected this from the Lord. Lord Freem also informs him about the forged artillery, and since no one could operate it, there has been nothing chaotic. The Demon King curses the situation, as this isn't what he wanted to hear. Freem declares that even Bradley has sent back more good news, stating that the battle progress has boosted their whole morale and so they'll keep advancing inward. Then, before even half a month passes, there's no doubt that they'll have seized half of the Razma Plains successfully. Polly breaks down completely, and the plate from her hand cracks onto the floor.